Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome back to another episode of Final Boss TV. This is episode number 216, if my notes are accurate. And we're going to do another community sort of sit down, talk about Final Fantasy XIV, past MMO experiences, things of that nature. We're raiding Pandemonium Asphodelos Savage in Endwalker right now, so we've got a couple of bosses down we can talk about. I want to talk about gearing and how different it is compared to the other games that we have invested a lot of time into, and how it's weird that we can invest a lot of time into 14 and get geared and then play other games and not feel like we're losing out. So moments like that, we brought back on Bob and Ben again from the previous episodes, so you can go check out 215 where we talk about the differences in playing all this World of Warcraft for like 15 freaking years, and then we switch over to Final Fantasy early last year, and we were all having an absolute blast. That's basically the gist of the show today, so thank you for tuning in. This is on camera more so today with some background footage, and Bob and Ben aren't, though. They're just pictures. They're just blobs. But if you're watching this episode or listening to this episode within like the week that it's dropping right now, which will be January the 17th, 2022, head over to my Twitter, which is linked down below in the video description box, or it's Final Boss TV on Twitter, doing a sort of Endwalker celebration giveaway for Mog Station items. There are 3 winners totaling over $100 in Mog Station stuff. Hopefully I can do more of these in the future. So if you want to win stuff, go check out the pinned tweet just on my Twitter, link down below. But without further ado, without me jibber-jabbing anymore, these boys were playing Triple Triad, waiting for me to do my intro. So who won the Triple Triad match?
I got fucking trounced. Oh.
Did he really?
I don't know about trounced.
Trounced.
Yeah?
Let's play a card.
Yeah, nice players, dude. Nice players.
Did you... Well, so what was the winning card, though? Did someone pull out some, like, real stupid nonsense? Did Bob just get, like, out-carded, out-top-decked, as it were?
Garuda. It was Garuda, mate.
Garuda?
Yeah, Garuda.
Did you play, like, Ascension or any custom rules or anything? No?
No.
Just
vanilla, basic
triple triad. Boring triple triad. Very cool. Well, I set up the show a while ago, and I said it before I started recording, that like it's been like stormy and dark. I wanted to have like a cool background shot of the Charlean Harbor, and it's freaking snowing on the water, which is so wild, but whatever. It looks neat, I suppose, as a backdrop, because we have this, we have my ugly face, we have Pikachu, Bob's blue square of his sage in front of the moon, and Ben, you're an angry cat.
Angry Frodo cat, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't see the Frodo. Yeah. But it is a cat dressed up as Frodo, it's true. All right, so the title of the show, which we'll get to as the sort of the meat and potatoes topic, the middle of the show here, is we're going to talk about loot progression in 14. But I want to do a quick update and catch-up topic to start us off with first. So, as I said in my little intro, we do be raiding Pandemonium Savage right now. And we've been trying to catch up with our community time frame and balancing everyone else's work schedules and stuff. So we only get to raid so much. But we are starting on P3S, which is Phoenix, on Tuesday, on the reset. Anything you're looking forward to in learning that fight? I transcribed the entire freaking thing. But, Ben, are you looking forward to figuring out those AoE boss tank buster tethers over and over and over again and not messing them up ever?
I mean, I see triangles and I'm scared.
I did have all the pictures in Discord, and there are many triangles. That's true.
Many triangles.
But yeah, you've watched some of the fight though. So like, what are you looking forward to figuring out?
I haven't seen a whole bunch.
Oh, going a little blind.
I mean, I caught like Scribe and Echo and whatnot doing their progression in there, and it was just fire. A lot of it.
Yeah, that was I posted. You see the G Shade filter you can put on to reduce the amount
Yeah.
of red.
Honestly, I don't want to rock that. Not gonna lie.
It is very orange in that room. That is for sure. So Bob, you and I will.
Big orange.
Yeah. And Bob will be healing with me for that fight. And we've been doing a lot of damage on the first 2 encounters. Relatively trying to do the whole like OGCD healing, instant heals only. I white maged on the second encounter, so we did a lot of rapture, like efficiency healing. But Phoenix, we're gonna have to do a lot of just stand still and heal forehead. Are you ready to actually just heal?
Sure.
What?
How is it? 2 shows and Bob comes back with a boring ass answer again.
Well,
Come on, I'm not right.
he is playing Sage. Lasers are fun.
I mean, yeah, I'll heal. I gotta heal, right? That's I don't know.
You've looked
Unless
at what?
I don't.
Is there anything in the encounter so far from the huge breakdown that you are not looking forward to doing the dance and figuring out? Because the fight is a lot of you do this thing once and then move on. If you mess up, you just start back over.
I mean, there is a lot of triangles. That's for sure.
Are you also afraid of triangles?
No, not inherently.
just bend them.
That seems to be Ben's problem.
Too many points.
A lot of things. But you as a paladin though, you throw triangles at bosses, kinda. Swords, not really a I don't know.
Swords and triangles. No.
Yeah,
no.
I think you're stretching a bit there, but
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just like it's just a lot of things, and trying to remember all the things sequence with me and my, questionable memory.
Well, yeah, I mean, CactBot has been updated, so at least I'll have like the timers, so I know like the cadence of how things work. That's what the first 2 videos are on the channel here, and that's what you can hear the little boing whenever something goes on. That's really all the DBM equivalent in 14 does, is it'll say like left, west, front side, back, and so it keeps you remembering the movement to movement. But there's a lot of things on Phoenix I don't know if the CactBot will be able to really help with, because there's a lot of you must stand here at this angle and then stretch this tether and then bounce your giant cone of death in this very specific way to not clip other people that are also doing the same kind of. There's a lot of that. So I will try to steer the ship, as it were.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, just looking at this, there's just a lot.
It is. It's an 11-minute fight.
Just, maybe I'll be more afraid of some of this stuff when I actually start. But as a default, it's just like these are mechanics.
Yeah. Well, did you say these are mechanics? That is. Yeah, that's true.
That is what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I got right now.
I put in my notes to ask, like, what are you least looking forward to in learning and executing? But with every encounter that gets figured out and sort of molded and adjusted and sorted by the community, and since we're 2 weeks after the initial launch, because as we're recording, we're like week 2, end of week 2 for this raid Savage, and I'm gonna be playing Astro for the fight. So one of the scariest mechanics where the whole raid essentially dies a combination of 1, 2, or 4 times each without actually dying, and resetting you to 1 HP and putting a sort of mortal strike, healing, regenerative magic down debuff on everybody. I'll just macrocosmos and heal us up to full in no time, because macrocosmos exists, so that mechanic won't be very hard as long as people stand in the right spot.
And
So I thought these triangles were going to be scary. I'm now seeing a lot of birds with purple lines, so I'm scared of that too.
Yeah, the tether phase is a little wacky. That is for sure. And the images and I've pulled resources from Mr. Happy's guide, So shout out to Mr. Happy and his team in making those images. I don't know who makes them on his static, but it is funny how ridiculous they look and how many lines and just angles, very acute angles on that fight. But and then of course, so a Final Fantasy 14 dev clearly likes Castlevania. The boss is the last encounter, which obviously we've done and we farm every week now on normal mode, which is P4S in this case, which is parts 1 and part 2. Part 1 about 7 minutes long, and then part 2 about 10, I think. So 15 plus minute encounter based on your DPS, even though you get a break once you beat the first part in that lockout, you can keep going on the second part. But it also looks less chaotic compared to Phoenix. Are you, from what you've seen, Ben, are you worried about anything in that encounter, or figuring?
I've seen a lot more of that fight than I have Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I'd say for stage 1, I'm not that scared. I think like the most crazy that happens is instead of one of the 4 effects that can happen, there could be 2. Like there could be the well and the lightning pit. So it would like knock you out and then do the big explosion.
Yeah, all the Pinax or whatever Pinax abilities with his setting the stage combos. There's no randomness in this game like we've experienced in like spell queuing in World of Warcraft, but there is when the boss picks his sequence of abilities, it'll always be that one and then a different one the next time. But adjusting to those will definitely be quick. The first phase of that fight, because it's like sub 7 minutes or right around it, is very fast compared to we just did Hippocampus, that was 10:20, and Phoenix is 11. So phase 1 of Vampire Daddy is 7 or less, is very fast in comparison.
Yeah, I'm not worried about phase 1. Phase 2, I am terrified.
It's
there's a whole lot of thing happening.
It's very like adult Simon Says for 9 minutes or so. 9-10 minutes.
Just like a lot of things where like people have to like break a tether, then a thing happens. They all have to like walk around the room, and somebody breaks something they shouldn't. It's gonna go all crazy, and things are gonna die. But I think we'll be fine for the most part.
Yeah, I know other people in the community free company have said that we're going to be on Phoenix for like weeks. It depends. We only get to raid so many hours a week, but it is weird.
We may have to do a Saturday again, maybe, depending on how we do during the week.
There's no
also the replay, of course.
Yeah, there's no overtime police for 14 rating, I don't think, if that meme hasn't spread. So I think we're okay. And I guess as a sidebar then, Bob, for the differences in normal to savage from like healing optimizations. I know you and I sat down the other day for a good hour and a half right before we then went back in and completed P2S, when we optimize like how and when we are healing things, which is very much how the 2 healers in 14 Savage, I must, across the many teams, figure things out. I'm sure some that are really good just fly by the seat of their pants, but we like to plan out all the different events. What do you foresee us trying to figure out? Are you on the spot? Are you going to go Scholar to my Astro for the last 2? Or are you going to keep trying to fire lasers?
I mean, I'd prefer to fire lasers. I definitely enjoy Sage more than a Scholar.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Then, like, at least from my perspective, the main thing that differentiates Scholar from Sage is deployment tactics and just like putting in a very large shield on the entire raid.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, every 90 seconds. Raising your entire health pool, well, of the The Scholar doubles their health pool normally, and then the rest of the raid gets like a 50 to 75% HP bump for 20 seconds or so. Pretty good.
Which might be hard to argue with. But then again, maybe I end up having to play Scholar just for chain stratagem.
Yeah.
So they were more multiplicatives under on the 2-minute windows.
Yeah, like we have to,
But
as the healers, we have to commit more to maintaining and sustaining. We won't be able to just sit around and use filler damage the whole time. So allowing the bigger burst windows when we can plan around us being able to do damage, and I throw out all my cards and hit divination and get Astrodyne up, and you hit chain strat and get your 6 ether charges going pew pew pew. So there's some lasers on Scholar. Well, I guess you'd only fire 5. You'd want to float 1 maybe, whatever. That might be how to play it.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look at it more.
For
yeah.
sure. All right, enough hemming and hawing in the first topic. Let's get... Bob needs some blood flow, apparently. So let's talk about loot, because that's the big thing. I posed this question to Mog Talk, because Frosty was asking for, like, just suggestions. This is almost similar to what I posed to him on Twitter, so I'll have to go check out the latest Mog Talk and see if they talked about it. But I played a bunch of World of Warcraft, obviously. All 3 of us have. A different amount of us in the community have played a bunch of SWTOR, like the end game sort of raiding level. So we have different thoughts on loot systems. And now that we're 2 weeks into how Savage works, with now a month of normal mode farm, the heckin' loot is loot, and gearing and loot in this game is just too damn good. What do you remember about like WoW's loot system, Bob, compared to how loot is now in 14, and just how much Ben just laughs.
I mean, at least for me, the main thing that 14 has going for it, really is when you're in a group with people you're playing, and ideally like, the ability to put gear where you want it cleanly.
It's a novel concept, eh?
Is kind of awesome. But there is something to be said for those moments of like high roll. There's got to definitely be said for them, for like just a moment of excitement.
Are you talking about Titan Forging or War Forging being good systems?
Oh no, they're not good.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. That's a lot. But they have like, you have to admit to some degree there are moments of, oh crap, this really rare this like item that doesn't drop that often seemingly has now dropped, and I've rolled a like 1%er to like plus 30 item level on it or something like that. Like, that's an exciting moment. And then you realize you're never replacing that item ever. And then you get sad. So mixed bag, I guess.
You sort of talked yourself into feeling good and then bad about that example.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just wild loot, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a good system on the whole.
I mean,
what? But it has moments. That's what I was trying to get at.
Do we need to talk about the fucking Arcano crystal, or the balls it was from Nighthold, was it?
You mean all of Legion? Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's you get that item, and that's your trinket for the rest of the 2 years of the expansion. Have fun.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy they got rid of the Titan forging stuff. Like that was a good thing that they got rid of.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But the randomness is still a thing, and they just don't want to get away from it.
but it's not even like randomness that feels good. At least the thing Titan Forge had going for it. Its only positive was that occasionally it would get a big like dopamine hit.
I mean, honestly, if they
But then it would go away and be sad.
if they just allowed us to put loot where we wanted it, I don't think it would be nearly a problem. But the fact that I get like back when we were doing Nathria or whatever the new one was,
Sanctum.
that's the one. You know, I got several items I don't need that I couldn't trade.
Yeah.
Like, it was actively a loss on my character if I equip those things. But it could easily be a bonus, say, if Teddy took those items. But can't give them to him.
Nope.
That doesn't feel good.
Yeah, there's this weird, and while I used to have a bit more of this in the past, but it's obviously changed so much since like Warlords kind of into Legion and now forward, you know, BFA now into Shadowlands. But right now in 14, in the rating we've been doing now, because we've rated a whole bunch like leading up to this. Like I'm gonna put up our original when we were like learning fledgling raiders, when we finally had a squad together in the community free company when we did Bahamut, which is so different at 50 than compared to 80 or 90 content in this game. But knowing your entire raid group, only consisting, of like 8 players compared to 20 like in Mythic World of Warcraft, or if you had like a flex group for Heroic and Normal of, 10 up to 25, 30. But you all get gear every single raid night when you complete bosses. Either, by a master loot style deterministic token system where you like just pass on loot. Like last night, we let our DPS roll on the weapon upgrade token in an order that we had determined and all talked about. We had the coding for an accessory upgrade that we also talked about. And then we found out who could use it was boots and helm, I think. We knew where that was going to help our overall group. Now, what if we had killed that boss and like the weapon upgrade went to like me randomly? The token went to Ben.
Yeah.
We had no control of it. That's the difference. Yeah, we couldn't trade anything. Yeah, it just makes raiding. It makes raiding feel so rewarding, knowing each reset in this game you progress forward, and even as 14 moves and you get more loot, as more bosses fall down and you get more currency every week and you cap on your astrology or whatever, right? Your weekly tokens. You still then, even if your main job is done, you then just immediately can gear your other job. Not like an alt spec, but like I can get a weapon for my other healers. I can start getting tank gear because no one will need stuff. So we'll just like roll on things and it'll become random at that point. Or people will just be like, yeah, we can pass to, Bay gets this, Ben can get that, Teddy can get this. Instead of the RNG personal loot that we had no control over for like a year plus, more than that, technically, in World of Warcraft. So the other thing I put in here on my notes too is like, what if you get loot and it's like, oh, nothing for casters dropped, another reset in a row? I mean, I think we've picked on Harry for this a couple of times before, but he was with us in the WoW Community Guild for weeks and weeks and did the grind and did some Mythic Plus here and there and did it. But then it was like 2 or 3 whole resets of Castle Nathria in a row. He got nothing.
Yeah, got one piece. Yeah.
So he didn't want to play anymore. Like
same thing happened again. Like a piece dropped for me because we were different Warlock specs, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think it was pants. I can't remember. The stats were terrible for my spec. Harry would have needed them. I couldn't give them to him
because they were higher level for you.
Yeah, I remember that being a thing. That's just how it be. Until they, I guess find some brain cells over there at Blizzard and put Master Luto back in. That's gonna be how it is.
I know. I can pull it up on my character here. I know there is obviously some feedback that I have sort of osmosed in learning about this game, that since everything is a currency and everything is on a vendor, it doesn't have the same, kind of Bob's point earlier, it doesn't have the same like feeling of those moments of but at the same time, like last night when we killed Hippocampus, and then on Tuesday when we re-clear it, because we know who's getting what in what order, right? We're gonna go like weapons are to DPS first, and then DPS is going down by tier. So it's do it on Reaper, Monk second, doing Summoner third, and then Bard last. Everyone knows on that reset, when we go clear, they get their weapon upgrade to help us towards the end. It depends, because we're looking at 605 weapons once we get Vampire Daddy down in a couple of weeks. But you'll know, you log in, you play well, you get your weapon for your main job. Not you log in, you raid for 3 hours, 4 hours, clear the entire raid, do multiple difficulties, you get nothing. That's the dopamine hit for me. I didn't even get anything this reset. I bought my pants from tokens. I got these. I got my 590 token pants as of we're sitting here right now. But knowing that everyone gets stronger together is so good. It feels so fulfilling from a game system perspective if you're really on about those game systems.
Yeah, like having everything on the token definitely does remove that like really high end, but it also removes all of the low end, so you don't get those feel bad moments.
Right. Yeah, because
even then, right? The WoW,
high end's
WoW
not
moment,
even worth it.
Yeah.
The WoW moment of say opening up that dumb ass vault and getting that one piece that you've been waiting for months. That whole thing doesn't matter because again, like Bob said earlier, like you get it and then you're like, okay, cool, I have this now. I won't be replacing this for ages.
Right.
This won't be a thing I'll be replacing. And 14 has a constant progression. Every time there's a new thing out, you're going to get a new thing, and you still have to work to get it.
Yeah. There's 4. Well, I guess there's the start of the game in 14. There's the base tier, and then there's 3 tiers of raiding. And between each of those, there's the catch up with the Alliance raids, right? So you still have to get your baseline at the start of an expansion, and then you do have to re-farm, as it were, the next upgrade. But you're moving your character forward. Eye level jumps are so important in this game. Weapon scaling is so very, very strong. So even, I'm showing on screen right now, the cane that I can get from Tomestones eventually, if I don't just wait it out and get the one from Vampire Daddy, it only says, to those that might not know, it's only +2 magic damage. But in the formula of how that stacks with your main stat, which is mind, it's so incredibly strong. 14 more mind and 2 magic damage base will be a huge bump. And then even more, of course, if the 590 weapon gets replaced by the 605, which is the best in the game currently. And every small increment feels like you all gain power together because there's so much less like RNG, proc-based randomness, all this gear nonsense, borrowed power system, which I need to post a link to it if you're watching this on YouTube. I did a poll a few days ago, maybe a week ago now, about asking people who are on my YouTube channel. I did it on Twitter as well. What's the one thing you want like removed the most from World of Warcraft? And Twitter had mixed, but YouTube was like 78% borrowed power. Just get rid of it. Like hundreds of votes. Just get rid of borrowed power. Because 14 doesn't have any of that. Like you work towards in a bit of like an arbitrary, like binary linear path, but you always get stronger. You can put in time. You get stronger. You beat the content. You get stronger. Even if you don't get loot, you still get the book system in Savage anyway, and obviously the token system in normal. You still grow as a character. I know I'm on like some crazy soapbox. It was just mostly frustrating, like running and organizing the community guild in World of Warcraft for like a year and a half. We had close to 30 people at the start. We were almost full, like 24, 25, and then some random people here and there. And what we have at the end, like a year plus later after Sanctum, we had like 14. People were just just having no fun, getting nothing, having to do Mythic Pluses every week, getting the Vault. I was such a stan for the Vault at first when it first came out. And then you realize like 4 or 5 weeks into the vault that not that good. not that good. And
They kind of just need to do away with the whole vault thing. They need to let people gear through Mythic Plus if they really want to. If people really want to sit there and do that, let them do it. If they find that fun, then that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. They seem to be out for not letting anyone have fun. Have
Well,
fun how we want you to have fun in the WoW.
I think it strings the players along in a different way. And I don't feel like I'm being strung along in 14. Like I completed like
Well, you
7
want.
resistance weapons before Endwalker
Yeah.
even came out. Right? The best weapons in the game. I
I'm
put in the
excited
time.
to do those as well in Endwalker when they arrive.
Yeah, we'll be doing them at the cadence that they launch over the 4 patches. So it'll probably feel way different. It'll probably be more grindy, to be honest, but it's the kind of the design point.
Yeah, it'll take the 3 months up until the next part.
Yeah.
Not 3 months for one. It will be like 3 months for several.
Yeah.
You would be able to get I'd say maybe half before the next chunk comes out.
Mm-hmm. So I obviously shared my thoughts on that quite a bit, but so does gearing in 14 stumble anywhere? Because we obviously have that like when we bring up World of Warcraft to compare the loot system to, but that was where we just kind of came from. But yeah, Ben, just to go back to you then, do you feel like it stumbles anywhere still though? Could it be even better? Insert the Pedro Pascal meme from Wonder Woman 2 in here, like the only good part of that movie. But anyway,
Yeah, only good thing from that movie.
It's good, but it could be better. Like what?
Yeah. I mean, from a pure selfish tanking perspective,
Yeah.
I want more gear.
Well,
other than that, I don't have any issues with it. I think gearing is fine. The fact that I don't have an item in my bag that is not a thing I want in my bag is a good thing. And
all right, yeah.
I don't really have any negatives for it.
Didn't even bring up crafted gear in all this. I don't even put that in my notes on how important crafting is in this game.
I guess that shit's annoying. Fucking 63 materia for the story yesterday. Just poof.
But then it evens out, right? Because the day beforehand, Bob was like, I'm going to just materia up and overmeld some gear. And overmelding is a system of adding essentially gem slots, adding materia to beyond what a gear piece allows. Blue is the slot that's okay, and then you can add 4 more pieces on crafted and 3 more on gear. On crafted accessories on gear, you can add 3 more. And Bob, we think we did your full pentameld on a piece of gear with like maybe losing less than 30.
The first one was got it in 1.
Yeah.
Then it was like 4. Then the next one was like 6 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
That's usually my overmelding experience in Endwalker anyway. Like I haven't lost a crazy amount other than that one time I accidentally lost all of my debt, and then Bob had took me up with some. It was just there's one last bit in my ring that I just couldn't. It wasn't giving it to me, man.
Yeah.
Trolling.
And then, but the store got screwed. That's for sure.
No, I got screwed. I gave him my materia.
Oh, that was
moved.
Oh, that was yours. Okay.
I'm the one that got screwed.
Well, you were helping out Destora.
Moral of the story: don't help anyone.
Well, I was gonna say don't help Destora. Not anyone. Because we're all helping and banding together now to make a whole bunch of consumable food that will potentially last us like the rest of the year. If you make enough food.
That's Destora's guilt, that.
Oh, he feels
Yeah.
guilty about. Okay, that could work. That could work. Bob, do you have any thoughts on, from a healer perspective, or just another player of the game so far, learning stuff that the loot systems and gear progression falters in 14 and could be better?
Is there a place where it's bad? I mean, I'm a fan of dopamine hits, but
Mm-hmm.
They're mostly useless.
they tend to be useless. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see a thing.
The
Like,
dopamine hit, like it's a thing that hits you and then it's gone,
yeah,
like
it feels good.
immediately.
It feels good. That's the whole point.
I mean, if I want a dopamine hit, I'll play like Super Auto Pets or go blast things in Destiny, or I don't know, stuff like that, I suppose.
Sure.
Dark Souls is a good dopamine hit. You should play that.
Dark
Play that
Souls,
some
yeah.
more.
Handful of people in the
Trying
community
to
right now
get
are.
a boss down. I mean, I'm definitely getting all those dopamine hits in God of War.
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
was playing it a while ago, and I only took a few pulls on the dancer, for example, that felt great. Holy crap! When I figured out the pattern of the dancer and realized she had like a weak spot where she doesn't really attack, oh, that felt good. Heck yeah! But that's similar though, when you progress in we're talking about the loot systems, right? That's similar to how it feels like to even just progress on encounters in 14.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because they're scripted, they have some variance, not really RNG. So when we get a minute longer in the fight, or we beat that hard encounter, like when we get through, Storms of Asphodelos and Flames of Asphodelos and the crazy, death phase thing nonsense in Phoenix, like that feels good too. Like beating that script, that part of the play.
Mechanics going off without a hitch is always a good thing. It always feels good.
Yeah, like Arrows 2 not killing anyone in Hippocampus.
Mm-hmm. I think we're still yet to do a clean 3 though.
Yeah, we got Arrows 2 is fine.
I'm pretty sure we can do it though. There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah, I mean, Repeat Farm is in just a little bit on Tuesday, so.
Yeah. But yeah, in general, no, I don't think it really stumbles anywhere in particular. Maybe I'm gonna stretch a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe the value of crit is too good. But
yeah,
that feels really like I'm stretching.
That's also like that brings in like the stat discussion, which we could have, later on, just as as a sidebar, is that you basically just you stack crit on almost every single job in this game. But then I've also heard other creators in the Final Fantasy 14 space that have said that that's actually like they enjoy that, is they know there's a best stat, and then they figure out like their second best.
Right.
It's like making a BIS list, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm not really sure if that's actually a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
do you really want to
if I need to find a complaint?
Well, hey,
that's all I got.
Bob does have some piety in his gear. Not sure he needs it, but he does.
I definitely don't need it.
No.
Why do you have piety in your gear?
I thought I was gonna need it. I don't.
You imbecile. Is it a pentamelded thing?
Sorry, what?
Did you put it in a pentamelded thing?
Yeah, they're overmelded slots.
Yeah. Yep.
Get that shit out. Put some good stuff in it.
I've seen it. I mean, I have.
You want to provide?
I have.
What do you need?
No piety
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, on my Astro. I have some on my White Mage, which even though I watched back through it, just because when we really figured out the second encounter on P2S, I really didn't need. I could probably do that with Min Piety White Mage, and probably do the first fight as well. But there's not enough damage. I probably cannot do that on the last two for sure. But I'm also going to play Astro, which doesn't care about mana because you can't run out of mana on this.
I mean, you get 4,000 piety a minute, or 4,000 MP a minute, or something.
Yeah, just an absolute wild amount. That's for sure. But anything else on loot and gearing in 14 that you want to go over? I think it's great. Like trying to you know, right the ship essentially. Like, I'm not the captain. We don't really have like a who's in charge, but helping organize and put together to facilitate something, and then having everyone progress their jobs every week when you're raiding is so much more just comforting and stress relieving, and just a relaxing feel that once we finish our 9 to 10 hours a week, I'm just like, everyone got stronger. We got stronger together, and we had fun doing it because the encounters were fun. The game is fun. I'd have weeks back when we were doing Sanctum of Domination with all the domination slot gear and it not dropping, and they are trying to curb that with the Nyx raid coming out in 9.2. I didn't really bring this up, but they apparently the tier sets when they come back at 9.2, the current amount of drop tier sets is like starts at 4 plus boss loot. So bosses will start dropping like 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of loot, with a chunk of them being tier gear, which might be enough to feel better.
I mean, it dropping any amount more loot is gonna feel better, but I don't know if that fixes the problems.
I mean, a lot of WoW's problems, like I said last time, are just they're too deep.
Yeah,
they're too deep. They need to get back to the drawing board with it, and I don't think they will. I don't think changing glue is going to fix anything.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a start, I guess.
So that's actually a pretty okay topic to sort of springboard off of then. So last up on the docket today, I had that this may be a bit beyond all of our collective understanding. Like Thadrin in the community has been the longest like standing member that's been playing a long time beyond us. So he might have a different feeling of this. Could maybe ask him or rope him in on a future community sit down here. But we did just get to watch the world race for Pandemonium, Asphodelos, Savage, the first 4 circles, and it was obviously cleared in the first week. There were many guilds that did it, but they are obviously very proficient at doing this. But I noticed something that I hinted at earlier in the show while I was intermittently watching like Frosty's stream or catching up on stuff on Twitter or seeing the videos coming on YouTube. Square Enix really sticks to a very consistent format of how they have been building Final Fantasy XIV. And since this is the first chunk of the game, they're planning the next 10 years. This is the first encompassing full story from ARR to 6.0 of Endwalker. That's one story, one piece. But when it comes to like the questing structure, once you get to Stormblood, they sort of iron out where that's going to from the patch content cycle, where it's always, the point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, point 5.5. Every single expansion sort of follows this whole thing. Even like how dungeons were rebuilt after ARR. They weren't so sprawling and WoW based. They were more like streamlined and linear, and you kind of were on rails the whole way you go through. You go through 3 bosses and you get out. And even to the gear we just talked about, right? All the token based, the drops, the books from Savage, all these deterministic things. But I only started playing in May 2021. Do you think there is some worry that you're picking up on the community at large, or whispers in the dark, so to speak, that the formula, if they stick to this, if Square Enix sticks to this formula, will get stale? And it would hurt the game in the long run. Bob, do you have thoughts on the staleness that could happen, or no?
No, I don't really have thoughts on it because I don't really get that feeling much.
Okay.
Because I played WoW for 13 years, example.
Yeah.
Or more probably. Time.
Don't think about it.
And at no point did I ever feel like the game was stale. It just got bad. That's all.
It
So
took a nosedive. It was a gradual scale.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I just haven't played enough of Final Fantasy to really know what is it a bad thing that it repeats basically the same cadence. But just looking at it structurally, I guess it's probably easier to build something like that when you know, okay, so this is 6-1, for example.
Right.
We're gonna do this next story bit, and we're gonna do the extreme trial for the final MSQ trial, and we're gonna do this one. We've got a new ultimate, okay, and we've got some new side stuff. Cool. Okay, good. That's the plan. All right, now let's go build it. Like that. That seems like a more straightforward thing to do compared to like with WoW. It's just so kind of all over the place. Even though their structure is pretty, I guess, static kind of
Mhm.
too. Now, at least nowadays. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing from a like thinking about it perspective. But I don't have enough experience with it to like speak to it from how that feels as it comes out.
Yeah, it's definitely a very different design point. And that's I guess scheduling is a big one that comes to mind as you were going through that. I forgot to like bring that up too, is that outside of the Endwalker delay that happened recently, and obviously they're being very, if you're following the news, Yoshi P and his team are being very coherently consistent and very clear that they can't just solve the server problem. They can't just solve the instancing problem. They did update us about the fact that we will get server bumps, but not until summer 2022 and then fall 2023 before the next expansion. There's a lot of, or after the next expansion, sometime in there, around that period. There is problems that exist that they can't just fix, but they are trying to tell them. And it's the one thing, even the live letter, we're going to a live letter at the end of February coming up that has even been told to be teasing 7.0, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. It's a marketing thing at some point, but then also being clear with their players, where they're going, where they want to take the game. World of Warcraft always felt like, when is the next patch? Well, I don't know. Like PTR has been up for how long? 6-8 weeks? How long can the cycle be? 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? How long is beta? Is 6 months enough? No, let's do 4. That was bad. Let's do 8. Is that too long? It's always so, which is free flowing and it could be adapting, but then from the player side of things, you just never know when anything's going to happen. Whereas 14's dev cycle and their scheduling, they're so very, I don't know if it's strict. Hopefully everything is going good over there at Squeenix, because they did get hit with some weird, crunch labor articles that came out that weren't great from I don't know what divisions though, because they do a lot of work to make the game and have this cadence, have this schedule, stick to it, and keep up with it so that players know there's a consistency of when things will happen, which is also fantastic. It's such a weird, different breath of fresh air to know you will get X, Y, and Z. When back in Warlords, they just cut that other raid. We found out, during the beta cycle for Legion, like there was no communication. There was nothing. We found it in like old files. There's like none of that I pick up on with how Square Enix and Yoshi P and his team structure 14. They're going to do this. They've stuck to it now for years and years. They're going to keep doing this. And it feels good.
Yeah, I think Endwalker and part of Shadowbringers is really the only thing where they had an issue with that, with like cutting content, quote unquote, cutting content, because the 6.1 Ultimate was supposed to be full in Shadowbringer.
Oh,
it got pushed back into Endwalker.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Because of, I might think it was COVID related, but
could be pandemic related.
Not certain.
Right.
I don't think it was. I think it was just they wanted to put everything they had into Endwalker.
Oh yeah, that could very easily be the thing too. But
and I mean, like it's not like they were just like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, they didn't just cut it and like
we're just going to delay it for a bit.
Yeah, it did not cut and run. They're like, well, it's not going to be ready in time, so we're going to move it.
Right.
And instead, we're now going to get 2 ultimates in this expansion instead of 1.
Well, I think we're supposed to get 2 normally, but we might get 3 for Endwalker if
Oh,
they do
yeah.
two, because there was a plan to do two in Shadowbringers, but they got pushed. That much I do know.
That'll be wild. Yeah.
So we'll see, but
New Ultimate looks pretty cool as well. There was a picture floating around of a boss, which definitely has me interested.
Oh, like data mine stuff.
Yeah.
That's also didn't bring that up at all.
well, more leak stuff than data mine. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, data mining doesn't happen to the same degree in 14
Yeah,
as there's no PTR, so there's nothing to really data mine for 14 compared to like WoW and stuff
Oh,
like that.
wait.
Even SWTOR had PTR stuff here and there. So
like hiring people to do that stuff for you is a good idea.
well, keep it all internal versus you're taking a jab at like, what I used to do. All the unpaid open beta testing from your community. Yeah.
And of course, all of that was very fun. But when, hundreds and hundreds of hours of people like yourself doing a metric fizzle ton of work
Mm-hmm.
and feedback, compiling all of this, and it just being practically ignored.
Yeah.
It's and in this case, people post stuff on the forum, and most of the time it gets listened to. Sorry, Dark Knights, but
Yeah, they're still in a they still have some feedback they'd like to share, I'm sure.
most of the stuff gets listened to.
Yeah. I mean, we know that in 6.08 coming mid-February-ish or so, there are going to be the potency updates to many of the jobs that need some right now. Now that we know their stance on that Reaper is the DPS baseline, and it's hot. So everything else is about to get hot, 'cause if they have to bring everything else up, that's going to be very different. We'll have to see how the game adjusts and changes. Oh, you can't sit on this. Okay. But yeah, it's so weird. Just thinking about how. But so I have on here. So Square Enix, could they spice things up though? And Bob doesn't think they need to spice things up. They need to sticking to this raw core formula is obviously like really good.
Spice things up in which way though? Like, are we talking about like a formula in terms of like their patch cycle, or?
Well, so like I know people have. I think Mr. Happy spoke about this before. I think Zepla's nodded to this as well in some of her little Zep live, highlights that I've seen from her reading through notes and things about like harder 4-man content. There really isn't that in 14. Not to think that there needs to be like some Mythic Plus madness, and they got to be careful because Mythic Plus is both great and awful for the WoW economy.
Because 14 would do the thing that Blizzard once did, which is the challenge modes, which was fun. It gave you a nice little transmog for doing it. Don't do that anymore.
I'd be down for challenge modes.
Cool little mount, maybe for doing all of them within a certain time period, all of the dungeons.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And that's probably something I could see them doing. Because, they know that cosmetics are the thing people want.
Yeah.
Not necessarily power. They did this. I just, I mean, if they were to do a lot, I think Yoshi P has said that they are going to be doing more 4-man content. I can't remember when he said it. I think he mentioned it during Jesse and Jesse and JP's little interview.
Oh, okay.
I can't quite remember.
It's like
it was in a couple of interviews during the media tour.
Okay, so it's on their radar then, because like the big things we know that are coming soon, besides the normal stuff with the trial series starting, the alliance series starting, the ultimate raids coming out, which as you say it out loud, it's a lot. They've got the big PvP system revamp and sort of their own take on
island sanctuaries are coming. You got the first of the three. The first of the three. What the hell do you call them? Beast tribes.
Oh, yeah, new
Yeah,
Beast Tribe stuff, yeah.
so many stuff, so many stuff, so much stuff is coming.
Yeah.
In 0.1, I was sat here literally the other day talking to Bob saying, I think 0.1 is going to be quite a small patch. It's not.
No.
I don't know if Final Fantasy 14 knows what it means to be a small patch. I don't know if they.
Well, they're small patches like the one they just did, right? Or like the 608. Those are small, right? The non .1, .2, .3s are obviously where they put their small stuff, where they put the tweaks, they do the updates, because they don't do hotfix madness like what Blizzard does. They really don't. They obviously there's some points, but they normally do it just on Tuesday maintenance kind of window. They don't have the same architecture in the back end, or they choose not to continuously throw darts at problems with hotfixing. Right? When stuff comes out, it's QA'd to a point. Like, I haven't heard of anything during the raid race, to double back on that topic for just a moment, of like ridiculous bugs or hearing things on Frosty stream about things being broken or not working right. I know there was maybe one instance of something weird, but how many times during the race to World First, and I was there for 4 of them, where we can't progress on this part of the fight because it's broken or the overlap just kills you and we have to wait for Blizzard to hotfix it live. And I think Scripe's going on record right now as saying that he's been digging in with Echo and figuring out 14 systems and raiding and doing their stuff. And his quote, that I think just went a little bit, semi-viral within our community, is that World of Warcraft is messy, was just all he said. And that's true. Compared to 14's raiding scene and how clean and concise and controlled and formed and QA'd and molded and tested before it launches. And then it's just there.
Yeah. I'd have to agree.
It's very different, for sure. I also had on here, to go back to what we were talking about, like solo stuff was my other spice things up thing. Because all you can really do that's in this game that's solo difficult, you could solo queue PvP, I guess. But there's like Palace of the Dead, Heaven on High, going 200 floors up by yourself. That's about all that 14 really offers for that. So I know people have brought that up, but I've heard or seen like Reddit threads of suggestions and stuff like that for what could be harder solo content in 14. But then I think, did Yoshi P not say they're going to add another, Palace of the Dead, Heaven on High kind of thing during Endwalker's cycle as well? So that could be.
I don't think he said specifically a deep dungeon style thing, but
Okay.
That's what they were talking about in the media tour was format was that as format content. But that's kind of the only reason that the Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High solos are challenging, is because they are built for 4 people. So doing it by yourself obviously makes it a lot harder.
Yeah. In comparison, but that's what I wonder. And then I bring up solo hard content, things to challenge, individual players. And WoW just finally brought back the Mage Tower, and then only brought it back for 3 or 4 weeks. Now it's gone for 6 months. So, that's a weird one. I'm not exactly sure why that was chosen, and not just put in the game to exist, so players could just keep enjoying it. Nope.
They got a flavor of the month, you man.
Yeah, and that's another weird. Just to put another, knock in 14's belt here, is that all of everything in this game it doesn't go anywhere. I've never heard of anything being removed. Every single dungeon, every single trial, all the raids, all exist in the game. And through settings like unrestricted, you go back and you can solo stuff. That's a new thing that people are doing. Every expansion that starts, like Mr. Happy's doing it. That's hard solo stuff, if you're a warrior, I guess. Is you go back and solo old raids and trials from that weren't previously, as gear gets better and you level up over it. There's some of that, I suppose. But none of it goes away. And it's weird that World of Warcraft has brought in systems, and then just like borrowed power, they take them out. I don't get it. And you can get those on a daily basis when you obviously queue up for roulettes and stuff too. which is refreshing. I don't know how if older players are getting bored of that. That'd be a tough one. Need to ask very seasoned players what their thoughts on are of those systems. And the fact that they've 8 years later they queue up and they get an Alexander raid, like, oh boy, you know, do they still find that fun and novel or not so much? I think it's pretty neat so far, but I'm only like barely a year into playing the game. Almost there. So how about some closing thoughts then? Which this will, I'll put a spoiler sort of bracket out there for those that haven't finished the Endwalker MSQ.
Oh.
I just want to know what your guys' favorite like moment in the Endwalker MSQ was, because we know that again 6.0 is the end of the Heidel and Zodiac whole storyline. So there's the patch content doesn't do what the previous expansions do with how the story kind of goes between patch 1, you know, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then it ends. 6.0 is done. So what's your favorite moment in Endwalker? Was it a cutscene in particular? Was it a dungeon, a trial, the rating so far? So Ben, what's your favorite moment in Endwalker?
I'm going to cheat, and I have 3 tied, so...
You what?
I have 3 tied for first place.
3 ties. Okay, well...
for what I really liked.
I guess that's allowed. That's allowed.
It has to be literally the entire zone of Elpis. From moment 1.
That zone's pretty good.
The zone is the best thing in the game. And the talk you have with Crystal Mama, you know, definitely didn't break me. Having the little chat after the fight.
Oof. Yeah. That.
You know, it's all of that stuff was excellent. But I think the thing that maybe etches above all of it is that final little chunk with our boys, with Emmett and Hephalodius.
Oh yeah, in the field of Elpis flowers.
Yeah. That still is a difficult thing for me to watch. that entire bit, the walk up to the final bit, that scene, fuck it all. I hate it. Makes me sad. You know, even though literally, you know, it makes me think that we're not going to see them again, but also makes me think we are going to see them again. That's another reason why I hate it. Playing with me, I don't like it. But yeah, I'd say those 3 moments in particular are definitely the best things that have happened in this game. Full stop.
Oh, you went far. You said happened in this game, or are you keeping it to
In the whole
Endwalker?
game. The whole game.
And the whole game.
Yep.
Dang. Because like
that and the Louis Socks Hands cutscene, but yeah, we won't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
That's a given.
Bob, do you have a tied for first place multi list, or do you have one thing that just stuck out to you as your favorite moment in Endwalker?
Well,
all the good bits.
I have a definitive like thing that was most affecting to me.
Most emotional moment, yeah, okay.
And a bunch of stuff that's just like, this is great. This is just like some good shit. I'm gonna end on the most affecting bit. Though. So as far as just good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elpis, like all of it. Getting some more Emmett Selk, that was great. Getting to do a dungeon with Emmett Selk and Na and Hephalodius. I think Hephalodius is my favorite of those 3 characters now.
Absolutely.
He's so good. And he functions as such a great foil to Emmett. It's so good. It's so fun. So that like, and that just that makes that ending scene that Ben was talking about, like just is good. It's really good
Pushes
and
you, man.
sad.
Punches you right in the gut.
Yeah. Then there's obviously like the trials are good. I like the trials.
Nah, what are they?
I think all three of them are good.
What is it? Twisty
Getting
Boy, Crystal Mama, and Planets.
yeah. Just like but it's like finishing a cutscene, zoning into the place like the just before the final trial, and the first thing I hear is big fat tacos. That was great.
Yeah, yeah.
I know that that's not what the lyrics to that song are, but I can't not hear it anymore.
Then you finish it and you do that one dungeon. It's like chicken tenders, gravy, and fries. It's great.
Yeah, it's so good. All that stuff is good. It's a lot of fun. But as far as like then the thing that affected me the most was the scene with Urianger and Moonbreeder's parent.
You had to say it.
Yeah, I might have to tie you on that one. I had to read that dialogue out loud while streaming.
That got me really good.
That was definitely one of the things.
Man.
Yeah.
And like when I was playing through that, I was hanging out in Discord, just streaming my POV to Ben, and I think Teddy was there. Man, that was rough. That's a tough scene to get through. It is very affecting.
But Walter, I was just thinking about that shit. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's so
but
baffling.
It's like,
yeah.
Character shows up in ARR for 12 quests. Like 12, 20 quests. It's nothing. She has almost no impact as far as like long term. But that character is written and acted and performed so well.
Mm-hmm.
And just like it's affecting it in the moment, and then you get here and it's so affecting again.
It's the thing like, it's the thing that it's just sprung on you, right? Like they clearly tease it. They tease a meet between those characters right at the beginning. When Urianger talks about he was too scared to go to the Aetherite facility or whatever, because he couldn't work up the nerve to go in there and talk to her parents. And then they just ambush him right there in Labyrinthos, and it was such a surprising thing because like it was so well done because the quest that you got beforehand was so infuriating because you had to find those 12 scholars or whatever.
Yeah, it was done on purpose.
Like, that shit was so annoying, and then you get that as a payoff, and I'm just damn.
It's it's such a good moment.
You can have this for us annoying you.
Yeah, like that was really affecting. I do wish that they could have found a way to do the like quote unquote heroic sacrifice thing that happens in Ultima Thule.
Yeah,
in a way that didn't feel forced.
Right.
Yeah.
And like because I at no point was I like, oh, this is like actually happening. It didn't feel at no point did it feel like it's real that they're actually sacrificing themselves. It's like, oh, they're gonna come back later, 100%.
At the point of Y'Challa and Y'Challa doing her thing, and then Urianger just is like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking walk into here and die as well. I was like, okay, so that's clearly it's not even like a maybe. It's they're gonna come back by the end of this.
I think thinking back to that moment, I think it definitely feels. I didn't believe it on stream. I know there was predictions of who's gonna bite it, who's not leaving Endwalker, and Again, spoiler section, almost every single person leaves Endwalker. Like, no one really dies. Which I don't know if that's a point, because the big part of that, all of your friends sacrifice themselves, the long walk up to that whole part going up. I was trying to find the specific cutscene just to put it in the background, but it's close to the end. I don't know which part it is mostly for Hythlodaeus to and Emmett to bring our friends back, right? Because it's a weird moment for those characters, because all our in present timeline Emmett wanted to do was bring his family and friends back.
Yeah.
And the past version that we deal with, which is not, it's the past version but then pulled all the way through time basically to get all his memory back, he brings our friends back. I guess the two of them.
So the version that we summon at the end isn't past Emmett. That is Emmett after Shadowbring.
I would assume so. I mean, it's because once he went to the Ethereal Sea, he would then get all his memory back. That's what they set that up.
It's not even that. It's like at the moment of his death, like the moment he was dying, he had the memories when we killed him.
Yeah, I think it may have been happening during the Remember Us part. I don't know, or if it would have happened like post that.
I mean, it would be immediately after that,
right?
Like immediately after his line of "Remember that we live," and then he disappears.
Yeah,
his next experience would be something along the lines of, "Oh, I remember this thing that happened to me. Yeah. Wait, they were there in the past. What? Ah!" Yeah. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to symbolize. So they had to find a way, even if the emotional weight of all of our friends basically getting Thanos snapped in front of us one at a time didn't have the same emotional pain. I think the emotional setup is for Emmett and Hythlodaeus. And that's the point.
Yeah,
so.
And I mean, even if you remember from the last talk with Crystal Mama, she does say that this power allows you to give form to the formless. Like, all of that was clear, so obvious it was going to happen when you look at it again.
They kind of gave you the MacGuffin before it got there to take out the edge off, which is weird when they just hand you creation magic and you're like, you can bring anyone back from the dead. You're like, okay. It's like the Dragon Balls, basically. It's like how death tension in Dragon Ball doesn't exist because, oh no, they died. Oh wait.
I definitely think they should have killed someone. It doesn't. It's not like it needs to happen. I think trimming the cast is a thing that could have happened, and it would have been a positive thing.
I think part of that is weird because technically they do, because if we never see any of the ancients back ever again, then they're all dead.
Well, I think we will. I mean, like I said, Hevelodius clearly fucking says in that cutscene, I hope that we meet to see each other again in this life or another. So it's definitely will happen again. Maybe not this patch content, this patch cycle, but the next. I definitely would not say no to seeing more Emmett and Hevelodius.
Well, of course not.
As their send-off was. As nice as their little send-off was,
it's just
Emmett being a little snarky bastard
all the way to the end. But they gave him that bit of Vegeta smile at the very end there. That's just... I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z stuff lately, so the reference is right there where that arc of that character takes so long. And it's similar, I suppose, in that regard, where a character's arc takes, like, in actual our lifetime, decades to happen. Emmett's doesn't in our lifetime. It's just Shadowbringers, Stormblood-ish into Shadowbringers into Endwalker, so 4.5 years, whatever, in real time, waiting for patch content. But in his lifetime, it's millennia. And there are so many awesome threads about how the character growth and little notices about how lines were written when he was angry Emmett, Ascian Emmett, and how they're written when he is just the ancient that doesn't know who the heck we are, thinks we're familiar. And then at that last Field of Elpis Flowers scene on how he's written then, when he knows everything, when everything finally goes back into his timeline. It's so crazy that something that just that incredible is written into an MMO, right? We're talking about WoW and SWTOR a little bit during this, and we're not gonna keep bashing on like Sylvanas or whatever, but
Oh, I have no intention. I have no intention of bashing on Sylvanas. Steve Denusa is where all of my hatred goes to.
yeah, it's tough. But I mean, what isn't it the last Fan Fest or the last two? At least it was the Shadowbringers Fan Fest one, the live stuff. That only happens over across the world. But when the writing team was on the stage, you can look the clip up. The writing team got like the craziest standing ovation for Shadowbringers. Just, and that's, I don't know how, as an author, as a writer, I can't imagine a greater connection to your audience than like that. It's just a huge outpouring of love for that team.
And they deserve every bit of it.
I mean, they give it to us, we give it back. So that's how that works.
Indeed. Well, I am in the house, just hanging out with my sushi. I think it might be time to call it there. Definitely got a bit more of a spoilery end cap section. Anything else you wanna end with? Because I just kind of echoed a couple of different things. Like I said, that the Moon Burrito stuff, reading it live on stream, reading out the parents' dialogue was hard. And that's what this game challenges you. And it rewards you in different ways. Like the story gets you emotionally, but then the systems allow you to like play, feel like you progress, reward you for your time. Some of it's definitely grindy. It is still an Eastern MMO, right? It still comes from Japan. They definitely like their grindy stuff. But I think overall, it's still great to feel like you can play, progress, move on to other stuff, come back when new patches come out, experience great new story, cutscene stuff. I think my only gripe that I thought of post our last community chat, or the last episode, was I think I may have mentioned it then. I wish the raid stuff or the trial stuff in the future is voiced.
Yeah, that is one thing that I would like.
But
I mean, again, I'm not gonna. It's certainly not a big deal that it isn't. It's more just. It would be very, very nice if it was.
it would be.
I mean,
yeah.
it would be really nice if all of it was voiced. That would be really nice. But that's also asking a lot. So.
I mean, they still have like 80 something odd voiced cutscenes in Endwalker, which is the most of any expansion, and it's so much.
It's only ever going to increase, right? Like it's only ever, like, the amount is only ever.
I mean, I just don't want to have to read anymore.
All right, that's that's fine. We're end on the Bob note. Bob doesn't want to read anymore. Sounds good to me. Ben is afraid of triangles. Thank you, boys, for sitting down, chatting today. It's actually funny. Gorek, longtime member of our overall community, is going through the story now. He just got to Stormblood last night, and I was trying to like catch up and watch some cutscenes that he was just watching, and even like the end cap notes of Heaven's Ward aren't voiced, which is so weird now, being in like a Shadowbringers and Endwalker post era where all those big moments are voiced.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read a lot of that. Like the Lease unmasking stuff is voiced, but then everything else is it's you got to click through all the dialogue. So I totally get it. If more of those, because that's where the emotional comes from. The team that they have, the voice actors are all so damn good. I wonder if all the languages have the same feeling to the casting of their localized language in this game. It only goes to 4 languages, but man,
I mean,
it's good.
I'm sad we didn't get the hornier version of Hoshfont.
All right, well,
Japanese version, yeah, that shit was.
Yeah, the Japanese Hoshfont is.
Hoshfont perfect county, Bob. You leave him alone.
all right, well,
he's a little into you.
I didn't think you could
see that.
I didn't think you could one up what you just did with don't want to read anymore, but now you wish you had horny or harsh font. All right, that's it. That's it then. All right, that's nope. Cutting you off. Just cutting you off.
I mean, harsh font's great, but what if he was like into you?
What if he was
Like a
dying
lot.
and also wanted you real bad there and then?
No,
That would be so good.
no. All right,
Wrong.
you guys are getting muted.
Wrong.
I'm gonna sign off. All right, yeah, go giggle. Exactly. Good grief. Okay, that's one way to end it. All right. Final Boss TV 216. Thank you all for tuning in, listening, watching while we have this little community chat about stuff in the game that we're currently just working through, having fun doing. This time with more visual. The previous episode 215 is pretty much only a podcast. I just did an intro and then went into essentially a podcast. But if you're listening to this on the podcast channels, appreciate it. Leave a rating if you're listening to this and watching along on YouTube. Then like button helps me out a great deal. You can support Final Boss TV directly by becoming a member. Membership button is right down below. All the streams, all the stuff is right here, so you can't miss anything. I'm posting all of my MSQ chunks and pieces and editing out a lot of the extra stuff just to get like all the cutscenes and the actual runs in all those, you know, more bite-sized formats down from 9-10 hour streams. And then the duty complete videos for the raid stuff we're doing. I'm gonna post the old raid stuff we've recorded. And if you're watching this and listening soon after this launched on January the 17th, 2022, check out my Twitter at FinalBossTV on Twitter for the Mog Station giveaway. Thank you all very much for listening, and I'll see you all in the next one.